Take a look at this glowing red device being applied directly to a patient's foot. It is a completely needle-free laser therapy, but the clinical framework guiding where that laser points actually dates back to around 6000 BCE, an era when practitioners used sharpened stone needles. For centuries, Western medicine approached the human body as a complex machine, a system of isolated parts, where a localized problem gets a localized fix. Traditional Chinese medicine approaches the body quite differently. Instead, it treats it as an interconnected web of energy. To understand how a practice rooted in Stone Age tools survived long enough to be performed with modern lasers, we have to look past the hardware and examine the ancient theories that built the foundation. The first comprehensive record of this system appears around 200 BCE in a text called the Huangdi Neijing, or the Yellow Emperor's Inner Classic. The authors divided this manual into two distinct sections. One half established the theoretical principles of human health, and the other provided highly specific technical instructions for needle placement. These vintage anatomical charts map out the core traditional mechanics. They illustrate qi, vital life energy, flowing through a precise network of invisible channels called meridians. These mapped lines reach deep into the figures. This meridian system establishes a link between the extremities, like the hands and feet, and the internal organs, emotions, and even the soul. A needle inserted into a specific point on the leg serves a broader purpose than just local relief. It is intended to adjust the overall flow of energy, restoring the balance of yin and yang to achieve whole body wellness. Between the Han and Ming dynasties, Chinese scholars heavily systematized the practice. They compiled centuries of isolated regional knowledge into massive, definitive medical encyclopedias. As the texts traveled eastward to Japan, local practitioners developed their own highly specialized techniques. They engineered incredibly thin, refined needles, known as hari, prioritizing an exceptionally delicate touch. Neighboring regions followed suit. In Korea and Vietnam, the therapy was integrated so deeply into local culture that it became a permanent foundational pillar of their national medical frameworks. The system survived the centuries because it was physically adaptable. Practitioners in different countries could modify the tools and the literal application as long as they maintained the core principles of energy flow. European traders documented these meridian techniques in the 16th century. For hundreds of years afterward, the Western medical establishment viewed the practice with intense, overwhelming suspicion. The perception shifted rapidly in the 1970s, largely due to James Rustin, pictured here at his typewriter. As a prominent American journalist, Rustin received the therapy while covering an assignment in China, and he published a highly detailed account of his experience. Rustin's widely read dispatch sparked global curiosity. Suddenly, Western doctors moved past their skepticism and began to actively investigate how the insertion of needles was successfully managing acute pain. Researchers began testing the traditional points. They shifted the terminology away from an invisible flow of qi and started documenting the results in the language of neurophysiology, tracking how the needles stimulated the nervous system and triggered endorphin release. Translating an ancient, philosophically based framework into the precise biological language of modern science provided the bridge needed for global medical acceptance. Today, you are just as likely to see an electronic machine like this one as you are a traditional needle. This is electroacupuncture, where practitioners adjust dials to send tiny electrical currents through the wires directly into the meridian points. We see a prime example of modern integration in India's major urban centers. Practitioners have seamlessly merged these needle techniques with indigenous traditional systems, like Ayurveda and Unani. Today, patients walk into these integrated clinics seeking relief from highly contemporary lifestyle ailments, utilizing the treatments for chronic pain, for psychological stress, and stubborn digestive issues. The approach continues to gain legitimacy at an institutional level, receiving formal recognition and structured support from government health bodies like India's Central Council for Research in Ayurvedic Sciences. What started as an isolated Chinese tradition is now a highly adaptable, technologically aided tool utilized in complementary medicine worldwide. The ultimate marker of its modern medical standing came when acupuncture secured official recognition and endorsement from the World Health Organization. Challenges absolutely remain in the field. There are ongoing struggles to standardize clinical research trials, And scientists continue to debate whether qi and meridians exist as literal anatomical structures or simply useful metaphors. Yet the practice continues to grow. Whether guided by a 6,000-year-old text or a modern clinical trial, acupuncture endures because it teaches a timeless lesson. The human body operates as a single, unified system, and true wellness relies entirely on balance.